Hello, wonderful community of embodied teachers, self healers, mentors, all those doing the work. I hope that you are in a great, flowing, and expansive space. I am sharing with you today a workshop on forgiveness. Forgiveness seems to be coming up quite a bit in my mentoring sessions right now. And I've really been taking it inward to ponder the concept of forgiveness as a tool for healing, expansion, and alignment to our embodied spiritual purpose. So I want to kick off this workshop just by beginning to talk about the concept of forgiveness, because forgiveness is bandied about so much in the spiritual world. You know, we hear this line, forgive and forget, let it go of whatever anger, resentment, pain, hurt that you're holding, let it all go and just move on. And this is probably one of the most infuriating and false concepts that really only promotes a sense of bypassing. I'm sure that you've all heard the term spiritual bypassing. And really so much of what we're taught in spiritual texts, spiritual books, by spiritual leaders is about letting it all go, rising above, and entering this state of enlightenment. However, when we bypass our feelings, when we bypass our true inner state of being, we really are not healing at all. We're just rising above it. And it's just like taking a drug, taking a psychedelic drug or weed or whatever. You are just rising above the mind to access that state of peace and liberation and enlightenment. Yet sooner or later, the drug wears off, you come back down, and the pain and the suffering is still there. So this is really the same as this concept of just forgiving and forgetting. Just let it go. And it's not that easy. So I want to talk about forgiveness as a concept that is very difficult to access, but in the sense of it being a profound tool for alignment to our spiritual purpose. So when we are in a state of hurt, anger, and resentment towards another person, a collective of people, our energy is being spent on that anger, that resentment, that hurt, rather than that energy flowing to our purpose, flowing to our mission, flowing to our creativity. So as long as we are in this state of non-forgiveness, our energy is going to be tied up on the lower level emotions rather than flowing freely into what it is that we're bringing into the world, what it is that we're manifesting. I hope that that makes sense. So the tool of forgiveness, if we are able to forgive, then we are in effect freeing up that energy that has been tied up, tangled up within the webs of anger and resentment. We're freeing up that energy to move into the flow of our path and our purpose. So there is a real argument for forgiveness. There is a reason why we might want to forgive. There is an understanding in the mind, cognitively, that forgiveness in itself will make us feel better. And ultimately, we all want to feel better. However, there is a separation between the mind and the body. So it doesn't matter how much work we do on ourselves, how much learning and discovery we do, how much we read about forgiveness, we might be able to cognitize the fact that there's only love in the world, and actually our biggest hurt is our biggest potential, and we should be in gratitude. We can cognitize that all, but actually, if we're still holding anger and resentment and hurt in our body, then it doesn't matter whether we're adopting this mindset of forgiveness, our body will still be holding us back. Our body will still be holding on to that hurt, holding on to that emotion. So when we talk about forgiveness, we don't cognitize it. We have to bring it into the body. We have to allow ourselves to release whatever hurt it is that we're still carrying, so that we can promote this energy flow, and so that energy flow can move us closer towards this state of embodiment, which is your higher purpose. So we can't talk about forgiveness without talking about hurt and why hurt exists. So something really profound that one of my teachers, one of my mentors said to me was that we are all victims of victims. And I feel that that statement is so simple yet so profound. The feeling states that we receive through our life experience from people that have hurt us, that have wronged us, is merely a reaction, a response to the pain, to the hurt and the suffering that that individual was experiencing themselves. So the motive behind any abuser, any aggressor, is really only to gain a shared sense of feeling, a shared sense of empathy for how they are feeling. Their intention is to bring others into the energetic level, the energetic vibration that they're experiencing. So we are all victims of victims. We are all receiving suffering from the sufferers. And really that allows us to cultivate a sense of empathy in some way when we can see that the hurt that we have received has been a reaction from the hurt that they are feeling themselves. And that chain can have gone on from generation to generation. But really, as we become more and more empowered in this journey of healing and awakening, we have to see that there is wrongdoing in the world. We have to see that we are humans, and being human is a messy task. Humans make mistakes. We are all on a journey of self-discovery and learning and growth. And in that, we have to make wrong choices. We have to make mistakes in order to learn and to grow. And we're never going to move through life being entirely untouched by our own actions, our own mistakes, and the mistakes of others as well. And I am speaking this from a place where I am not shaming you for having hurt, because hurt in itself is so valid. And I am not condemning or making it acceptable for the hurt that you have received. But what I'm trying to do is illustrate a perspective. And hopefully this perspective will allow a broadened view of why you have received the hurt that you have and why you are holding on to anger and resentment and why hurt exists in the world. And really that gives us a deeper motivation to explore the concept of forgiveness within ourselves and for others. You know, this concept of forgiveness doesn't just align to those that have done wrong to us, but it is also about the wrong that we have done outward as well. The times that we have hurt others with our actions, with our behaviors, with our words. So in order to come to a place of forgiveness with others, we first have to really be able to forgive ourselves. We have to be able to build up a wellspring of compassion and empathy towards ourselves, which comes from understanding why we acted the way that we did. It comes from understanding our wounds, because we can then see that our action and behavior was a response for our own individual hurt that we were feeling. And when we can see through our own body and our own experience that we're only ever acting from the level of hurt that we have within us, we can then have compassion for the hurt that we've caused. And gradually we can begin to have compassion for those that have hurt us. So I now want to come on and say that we absolutely cannot force forgiveness. And this is one of the things which I've been talking about in my sessions at the moment. Students come to me and ask, I want to forgive. I'm ready to release this. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I don't want to feel anger and resentment. And they feel that I can just press a button or say something and then that forgiveness will come. And this is alluded to a lot in the spiritual world, that we can use forgiveness just like a tool, like doing a yoga practice. And we can just forget. And ultimately that is all that it's instilling, is teaching us to suppress, to forget, and to numb out the hurt, to turn our back on it. And ultimately we're just going to be causing ourselves more damage in the long run if we do that. So the first thing to acknowledge is that we cannot force forgiveness. Forgiveness comes when you are ready. You cannot just wake up one morning and say, I consciously choose to forgive my dad. I consciously choose to forgive my abuser. It doesn't work like that. And as I spoke earlier about the mind versus the body, you can say that as much as you want in your mind. If your body doesn't feel it, if your body isn't ready to release that energy, if your inner child still doesn't feel safe, then that forgiveness is not going to be embodied. And this is all about embodiment, not about escaping, not about bypassing. It is about embodiment. So trusting the process, trusting the timings, trusting that the forgiveness that you desire will come when you are ready to really let that go. When you are really ready to rise up into something new, that means that you need to bring this fullness of energy with you. And no longer is there time and space within your energy field for this anger and resentment to come. You have to come lighter. But what we can do, rather than focus our energy on forgiveness, we can focus our energy on our own empowered healing. We can focus our energy on bringing ourselves into the state of being that we most desire. So to heal is to move from one state of being to the opposite. So if you were abused and you're in a state of disempowerment, your healing will come when you can move yourself from disempowered to empowered. If you were neglected as a child, you felt abandoned in some way, then your healing will come when you move from neglect to taking care of. When you can show up for yourself as a self-parent to love and honor and care for yourself. If you were without purpose in your family unit, if your family unit had broken down and you felt worthless and you felt without purpose, then your healing will come when you align yourself to your purpose. So what we can do is we can ask, how was it that that person made me feel? What was that lower level state of being that they put me in? And now I can focus my energy on becoming the exact opposite. Because what we're doing then is we're shifting our perspective. And through shifting our perspective and becoming the complete opposite, when we are living in that opposite state of being, we have reached forgiveness. We have overcome what that person intended to make us feel. We have overcome that, and therefore there no longer is space for anger and resentment. So, for example, if you felt that you didn't receive the love that you needed from your mum and dad, or your mum and dad displayed to you a very chaotic, turbulent type of relationship, and you're holding on to anger and resentment towards your mum and dad for that parenting, as you align into a relationship and you begin to cultivate the love that you always needed and wanted, and you begin to develop a really healthy, loving, balanced relationship, no longer will you place blame and anger and resentment on your mum and dad. You will have forgiven your mum and dad because you will be being in this state of being. I hope that makes sense. So I want to share with you a few steps. So even though I've spoken about not being able to force forgiveness, there are some steps that I have found really helpful to support the process of healing and coming into a place of forgiveness, so that we can release that energy, and that energy can then flow to becoming our spiritual embodied purpose. So the first step is acceptance. And this might seem easy, but it is actually one of the biggest and hardest to do. Accepting that there has been hurt in your life can be one of the hugest accomplishments on your healing journey. So many of us don't want to accept that there has been hurt, that there has been wrongdoing, that things weren't great, especially in our culture, in our westernized culture. And two, depending on how traumatic your memories and experiences are, the likelihood is you've probably suppressed a lot of the pain, a lot of the hurt out of your memory. You've numbed the feelings in your body. So the first step to getting back in touch with those is to accept that there were times in your life where there was pain and there was hurt. To accept that there has been wrongdoing. To accept moments when you found life quite traumatic. So step number one is to accept the hurt. And this can be a broad range of things. Perhaps it's one relationship, one experience that is there, that is so pertinent within your field, within your memory. And through that acceptance, we can then begin to understand it. And this is moving into step two, which is then about holding space for you to feel what it is that you need to feel. Holding space to feel it all. So often when we've experienced hurt and pain at such a young age, we have no means of communication or knowing to know what feelings that we're feeling and how to express them. So therefore we don't. When a young child has big feelings and emotions, but yet no vocabulary to express them, we go within. We access a place deep within us and we suppress those memories and those feelings. So the second step is to get back in touch with those feelings. To acknowledge what made you feel angry or sad or worthless or disempowered or disempowered or powerless. And in that process, you are inviting these feelings to come up and to be released. Allowing yourself to feel all the feelings that you didn't allow yourself to feel. Holding space for them, not letting yourself become them, but holding space for them to rise up and to be released. And this is really the art of self-healing. Not getting taken in, but allowing them to come up, allowing them to present themselves so that you can release them. So feeling it all, not letting it go, not forgetting, but feeling it all. All the horrible, low-level emotions, the ugly emotions, giving yourself full permission to feel them. And then step 3 is about giving yourself what you needed. So if you've got one memory, one relationship that you're focusing on, you'll learn that that hurt occurred because there was an unmet need at that time. You needed something and it wasn't given to you. So getting back in touch with your inner child and finding out what it was that she needed in that moment. And then going about giving that to her. So if she needed to be listened to, find a way, find a process, find a structure to really tune in and listen to yourself. If she needed to be cared for, create a self-care plan. If she needed to be held, to be told everything was okay, hold yourself, tell yourself on a regular basis that everything is going to be okay. Give yourself exactly what you needed back then. And this is such a step for healing and transformation. The fourth step is compassion. And this is about developing that well of compassion for yourself, but also for the person that hurt and wronged you. So bringing back this term, we're all victims of victims. Begin to see the emotional state that the person that hurt you was in when they hurt you. Begin to take a bigger picture of the situation. And this part only comes when you're ready. And then the final step is gratitude. And this is the step that comes after the forgiveness comes. Because we realize that this pain that was caused, this hurt that was caused, has brought us so much in terms of wisdom, in terms of knowledge, in terms of the ability to have compassion for others. That this hurt has given us potential in some way. So that's where I want to leave this workshop. I hope that you have found it useful today and that you can see this this alignment between the concept of forgiveness and the concept of alignment. How using your life, your healing, as what brings you the energy to become into your higher purpose. So I am wishing you so much love. Thank you for your time and attention. And if you enjoyed the workshop, post below. Love and magic.